Hi, hello, and welcome to my house. My name is Victoria Heeks Knight, and I am your host here on Hockey Talk. On this day, we mourn. On this day, we rage. On this day, we cry and beat our chest in defiance. Because here's why. The Canes lost to the Panthers, meaning the Panthers move on to the Stanley Cup for the third year in a row. So I figured we'd do some things a little differently to start off. First, a moment of silence for the Canes season. Let's all bow our heads. Okay. I did say just a moment. This isn't just a day of mourning for us. This is also a day of mourning for Leafs fans because they lost to the Panthers. Our hearts go out to you. Anyway, continuing with this sadness, this day of mourning, I figured I would write a eulogy for the Kane season before we get into other things. So I used ChatGPT. This is not a sponsored video or anything like that. ChatGPT was just a tool I used in order to write this, to help organize my thoughts. So let us begin. Skating in honey dying by fire, a poem of pain and pride. Here lies the storm, brave and bold, their tale now etched in heartbreak cold. A season strong, a team of might, cut down beneath the playoff light. They rose with speed, they struck with flame. The faithful roared and called their name. Through blood and sweat, through pain and ice, they paid the game's most brutal price. The first 3 games a haunted blur, like skating through a nightmare stir. The fire was there, but dulled and dim as panthers danced on weakened limbs. They swung in game 4, hearts on display, a final charge to fight to stay. But fate is cruel and refs are blind, and mercy's something they wouldn't find. Last night they skated, souls laid bare, with hope, with rage, with silent prayer. A first burst strong, a second lost, a third that fell to heartbreak's cost. The puck would bounce, they would then turn away, as if the gods said, "Not today." The Panthers played with sharpened teeth, their hits like claws, their grace beneath. But still the Canes stood tall and proud, their silence louder than the crowd. They may have lost, but not in shame. They dared to chase the hardest game. So raise your glass and to let it pour for warriors who fight no more. Their sticks may rest, the ring may clear, but storms return with every year. In grief, we burn, in rage, we cry, but hurricanes, they never die. 2024 2025. Carolina Hurricanes, gone, but never forgotten. That is the eulogy that I came up with, and I thought it was appropriate. The other thing I thought was very appropriate was I also asked chat to help me come up with a roast, because not only am I very upset that we lost, I am petty. Okay? I probably need a crown to claim something as being, I don't know, Queen of Petty, Princess of Petty. I don't know. I don't know. I'm petty, and I'm also bitter and salty and not happy that we lost. And my dislike for the Panthers increased after last night because we were so close. So damn close. Ooh! Sorry. So anyway, to get my negative feelings out, I had ChatGPT help me write a roast. Okay. So this is my roast of the Florida Panthers. Okay. Oh, Florida Panthers sly and mean, a playoff team so sly, so keen. You skate like thieves on slippery ice with cheap shots. Oh, isn't that nice? You play with claws and teeth like sharks, ignoring whistles, leaving marks. The refs, your best supporting cast, handing calls so yours would last. Your hits are dirty, your smile's fake. A rat pack's move, make no mistake. You dance on ice like you owned the night, but mercy's not yours, not in this fight. So here's to you, you sneaky crew. May karma catch up, swift and true. The canes will rise, the storm will roar, and leave your tricks upon your floor. I know it's not the best, but it encompassed my truest feelings, and I thought it was appropriate. So I said what I said. Now let's move on to how our new to first welcoming our new viewers and also to welcoming returning viewers. So I'm going to try something a little different, and is what I'm going to do is I actually have a cork board set up where I'm going to have different categories, and we're going to talk about different players, different plays, and things that happened in not just last night's game, but probably other games as well leading up to last night. So stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. Class is in session. Woohoo! Okay, so here's what I've decided to do. Like I said a moment ago, I'm going to have my cork board, and I've already put the names of players up, and we're going to talk about that, all of that, and we're also going to talk about some of the previous games leading up to last night's game. So let's get to it. Woohoo! Okay. So we'll start with my top players of the game. So first off, Aho. Why? Because he played like a beast, and he 100% uh, earned that title, because not only did he play really good, he scored twice. He scored the first goal and he scored the second goal. And he was definitely a VIP, MVP, whatever you want to call it, of last night's game. Okay. Aho. Next would be Stankoven. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo. Okay, sorry. So Stankoven also played really well. He had amazing goal opportunities, and he took them. He was aggressive and to the point. Okay? One of my favorite moments, I'm already circling ahead, sorry, but we're going to do it. One of my favorite moments from Stankoven was there was actually a puck flying through the air, and he was able to reach up and catch the puck and go and make a goal attempt. And that was awesome. That was chef's kiss, amazing. Okay. Now let's talk about Kokonyemi. Okay, so as we know, Kokonyemi does have an aggressive streak in him, and I think everyone who plays hockey does. So let's talk about why he's on my top players list. Because he had excellent goal attempts. Okay. He had more than multiple shots on goal. And if you've been watching the Canes a while, you know that Kokonyemi doesn't always get set up or doesn't always have that opportunity. And the fact that he had those opportunities and he took them is excellent. Okay, next, Martinuk. Okay, Martinuk for me was a good, solid player. Not only was he very good at offensive plays, he had great close quarter attempts with Bobrovsky and made some beautiful, beautiful attempts. And he was physical and he was present and he was there. He did partake in some aggressive canoodling, skadoodling, but you know that's also kind of his style is to be chill until he's not. So I think he did very well. Let's talk about Roslovic. Roslovic, I think, did good because he made some very, very good, decisive plays that led to goal attempts, that led to great offensive plays. So Roslovic is up there. Now let's talk about Jankowski. I was doing good. Jankowski. So Jankowski had some good early game plays and good early game goal attempts, and he was very good at setting his teammates up for goals. Not just himself, but other players as well. Now, fun fact: my friends and I we do love it when Stankoven and Jankowski are on the same line together because I call them Jank and Stank. Um, the Jank and Stank. Because it's funny and it's easier to remember than Stankoven and Jankowski. All right. So those are my top players of the night. Some of my favorite moments, we've already touched on that a little bit. We've touched on Stankoven's puck catch. Aho's goals, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, stunning. My favorite was the one that went under Bobrovsky's arm. That was awesome. Let's see. Other favorite moments. Freddie making amazing saves. We'll talk about Freddie and why Freddie and Svetch and Carrier are under the questions here in a minute. So, like I say, Freddie had great saves, awesome glove work, awesome stick work. I mean, he did good. Now, we'll get into some other things to break down. Okay. So here's what I saw. Okay. We had good momentum in the first. The Canes had amazing momentum in the first, right? So I'm not sure what changed because and this is why Freddie is under the questions section. So Freddie was doing amazing in um the first period, right? He didn't let anything in. Aho got us up 2 goals. We take a break between the first and the second, and when they come back, all of a sudden Freddie's letting goals in. I think if I remember correctly, it was 2 or 3 goals he let in the second. And I remember thinking, what happened? Why the hell is Freddie, the Great Dane, all of a sudden letting all these goals in? Like, to me, it made no sense. I'm like, was something said in the locker room? Is he in his head? Like, I don't understand. The other thing I noticed while watching the game last night was that there was a disconnect in the second, in particular, between Freddie and the rest of the team, and also a disconnect between the lines. It almost looked like they shuffled lines. I don't know if that's what happened, but it almost seemed like they changed up Aho's line, and there was just something not clicking the way it was in the first. Because in the first they played amazing. They had it figured out. They were like, "We're going to beat your ass like a drum and we're going to win." And we're going to the Stanley Cup. And then in the second, it was just painful. It was like two different teams stepped onto the ice. And then in the third period, yes, there were we scored goals and we tied with them at one point, 3-3. We also tied with them 2-2 at one point. But the final score was 5-3, Panthers winning. So here's my question. What happened? Were we tired? Was there some sort of disconnect between the lines and Freddie and coaching? Like, I don't know. I don't know what happened, because it was literally like watching a kid ride a bike and with training wheels, and the training wheels fall off, and then the kid slams into a tree. Like, that's a terrible example, and that's really graphic, but also at the same time, that's what it was like watching that game last night. Now, in the third, they definitely tried. They seem to have found, like, halfway through the third, they found some sort of spark or connection or what have you. But by that time, it was too little, too late. You can't come back from that kind of not just mental game, but physical game at that point. There's not enough time on the clock for that to happen. So, anyway, I just thought it was weird how they broke down. And it just I don't understand why there was that breakdown when there was. All right. Now, why is Fetch and Carrier under questions? Okay, they represent a lot of questions that I have about last night's game. Well, not just last night's game, but the Canes Panthers games leading up to last night's game. So let's talk about it. So I'll try and explain this as clearly as I can. While I was watching the game, something I noticed, particularly in the first period and in the second, was the Panthers were trying to make Carrier mad, like trying to start fights with him. I'm not on the ice. I don't know what was said, but Carrier ended up in several fights, and it really seemed like the Panthers were trying to get him, you know, in the box off the ice for reasons unbeknownst to me, but definitely seemed kind of targeted. I don't know if it was, but I will acknowledge I am biased when I say this. From a Canes standpoint, that's what it seemed like. And they seem to be doing the same thing with Svetch. Now, I I am biased when it comes to Svetch because he's one of my favorite players. And my friends make fun of me because here's what had happened. Freddie was my first favorite Canes player. And everyone thought that I would be getting a Svetch, or not a Svetch, a Freddie jersey first. Well, then I ended up getting a Svetch jersey first. So now they make fun of me for it. I keep telling them I would absolutely love to have a Freddie jersey, a um, Kokanyemi, Kachekov, and Jarvis jersey. Um, and everyone makes fun of me, but it's fine. It's fine. Um, so anyway, um, that being said, sorry, I got sidetracked. So anyway, that being said, I think overall last night's game was a strong attempt. I don't think it was the best attempt, but it was a strong attempt. So and one of and I want to also, oh yeah, that was the other thing. I want to circle back to this trying to make our players mad, because let's talk about Aho. Sebastian Aho for just a moment. So Sebastian Aho is a very chillax player. He's zen. He embodies zen. Um, if you've seen if you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, Uncle Iroh, he gives off to me he gives off Uncle Iroh vibes. Um, and and then you've got Kokonyemi and Seth Jarvis who give off big kid energy. I won't say Zuko, but I'm sure that that comparison could or has been made. But yeah, anyway, Sebastian Aho gives me very calm vibes, and for the most part very laid back vibes when it comes to his play style. Aggressive but laid back. You know he's a solid player. So here's my question, that 100% ties into, like I said, um the questions I have about why the Panthers were getting under our players' skin. But basically, so during during um the Capitals season, for example, or Capitals series, sorry, I will get my words right here in a minute. During the Capitals series, like, Tom Wilson was a butthole. Okay? Like, he was a pain in the buttocks. The caboose. Okay? The caboose loaded him up and they left because they lost. Anyway, sorry. That being said, I don't understand with the Panthers series why it seemed like, particularly in the first game against them, it seemed like we just lost any sense of gameplay or any sense of control, sort of to speak, against the Panthers. Whereas, Tom Wilson, like Tom Wilson took Aho's mouthpiece out of his mouth, and Aho's reaction was, "Bruh, what are you doing? Why are you doing? Can I have it back, please? Because you look stupid doing it." Like that's an example of like Aho being very chillax, and that's also an example of like a player or a team trying to get under another team's skin. So why with the Panthers, particularly in the first game, did we lose our training wheels? Why did we lose our understanding of hockey? I don't understand, because like Aho, like I say, he's typically Uncle Iroh. He's typically not, Zuko being making rash decisions. But he got into a fight right off the bat with the Panthers. He had plenty of opportunities to get in a fight with Tom Wilson. Um, Same thing with like Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis seems like a big cuddly kid. Like he seems like a fun guy to hang out with. Um, Same thing with Kokonyemi. But again, these are players that got into fights pretty quickly and pretty consistently throughout the Panthers series. So I don't know. Like I said earlier, the Panthers series was painful to watch. I'm glad it wasn't a clean sweep. At least we left with dignity, but I also think that we had much more to prove than we did. So, overall thoughts. I thought, particularly in the last couple of games, we played much better. Um, I think there was this understanding in those last couple of games, including last night's game, that this was it. If you want to go to the Stanley Cup playoffs, you need to get your ass in gear and you need to actually play. Um, whereas in particularly the games it played in Florida, it was painful to watch those games. So I my overall thoughts, basically, I think we could have done better. I'm proud as hell for us have gotten as far as we did, and honestly, I look forward to seeing us back in the playoffs next year, because we can only what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right, folks? All right. Well, that's my video for today. I will be looking into doing more football related stuff during the hockey off season. I will try my best. I'm not going to try and follow all of the moving pieces until preseason. Um, is is about, because there's a lot of moving pieces in football. As any sports fanatic will tell you, there's lots of moving pieces. All right. If there's anything you liked, please keep it cute in the comments below. If there was anything you disliked, keep it cute in the comments below. And finally, last and foremost, this is Hockey Talk, and I am your host, Victoria Heeks Knight, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have not liked and subscribed, please do. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, y'all.